I think there are some facts that have to be really brought out. Number one is, as you said, sir, majority of the Hispanics in this country are excited about Miguel Estrada being on this federal court. He would be the first Hispanic ever to serve on that court. But I can tell you, as excited as this Hispanics are in this country, and I think everybody who loves diversity is excited, because this is not a Hispanic issue. I think also what you're seeing is an attitude of outrage by the Hispanic communities and others when people use race as a reason to disqualify Mr. Estrada. And we've heard it on the floor of this House, where people say, oh, he's not Hispanic enough. What is he, 3/5 Hispanic? I thought those days were over when people were judged by their race. I thought the day of judging people by if they're too much of one thing, too little of another, I thought those days were over. It's really sad and frankly, personally offensive when people try to use race to disqualify this brilliant young lawyer, a person who got here when he was 17 years old, barely speaking English, worked hard, studied hard, graduated with honors from Columbia University and then Harvard, and as you well stated, worked in the Solicitor General's office under two presidents, a Republican president and a Democrat president. People that worked with him have said he's of the highest caliber. And yet, all these weird, horrible, sad excuses are used to try to derail him. There are people who have said that they would fight against a filibuster. They said that just a couple years ago. And now they're the ones leading the filibuster. How is that possible? Were they misleading the American people when they said that then? Or are they not being truthful now? And it is really offensive. It is very offensive. I can tell you also that here in this House, the Hispanic Conference is wholeheartedly, enthusiastically supporting Miguel Estrada. Not because he's Hispanic, but because he's highly qualified.
Didn't the APA give him the highest rating?
Yes. Most highly qualified rating by the American Bar Association.
You know, in my understanding, if I may, sir, my understanding is that there are people who have said that that's the threshold issue. That should be the threshold issue. And those same people that have said that that is the threshold issue, now we're saying it doesn't matter with Mr. Estrada. So what is it? It's not because he hasn't answered questions. As you said, sir, he's answered 5 times more questions than the previous 2 people on that court combined. That's not why. It's not because of all these other excuses. It seems, sadly enough, that we've heard recently the real reason: race. They don't want him because of his race. And let me tell you, I've got to be very clear. You better believe, and I am not supporting Mr. Estrada because of his race, because of he's Hispanic. No, because of his qualifications, I'm supporting him. Because of his talent, I'm supporting him. Because of his experience. But it's offensive that because of his race, some people are trying to avoid him getting there.
Well, let me ask you a personal question. If you're nominated, if it was Mario Diaz-Balart instead of Miguel Estrada, and you have all his qualifications, would they let you through, do you think, based on what you're saying?
Well, it's you know, it's funny that you know, some of the people that have questioned if he's Hispanic or not enough, these are people who, like me, were born here. There are people that are born here who have said that Mr. Estrada can't be a judge because he's not Hispanic enough. Mr. Estrada got here when he was 17 years old. So it's laughable, except for the fact that to me what's offensive is not who's saying it, it's what's being said. Race should never be a factor to disqualify a human being to reach a position that he or she is qualified for. And on this floor, we have heard it once again, that they say that the reason that Mr. Estrada shouldn't be on that bench is because of race. That is highly objectionable, and frankly, I must add, is insulting, degrading to this institution, and degrading to the United States of America.
And a different party was in charge of the other body. We passed lots of legislation that died, lots of legislation that was not allowed to come out on the floor for a vote. And it seems that those same folks who lost the majority because of their inability to make decisions are at it again and it's absurd. Hey, vote the guy down. Have the guts. You don't like him. But I believe that we all are elected, be it a House or Senate member or even a state representative back home, a county commissioner or mayor. You are elected to vote, to take a position, and not play parliamentary games, which is what has been going on.
I just may add, though, also that there's so many important issues that this country is facing, that this House and our friends across the rotunda in the other chamber are facing, and the fact that there's a filibuster going on, not only is it damaging to this brilliant young attorney who is experienced, talented, and of unbelievable integrity, but a lot of other issues. And you were mentioning the economy recently. I'm concerned about the economy. I am concerned that we need to do something and do it quick to make sure that we have economic growth in this economy. And that's why I support the President's proposals, because I think there's two choices. Either you do nothing and hope for the best, or you do what the President is suggesting, which is make sure that we incentivize job creation. But the problem is that nothing is getting done over there because there's a small group of people who just refuses to let anything happen because they're going to filibuster on Miguel Estrada. That is unbelievable. And you're absolutely right, sir, what you just said. That's the same group that didn't get anything passed for the last couple years. And now, in the minority, they're even going to the extreme of procedural maneuvers to avoid votes, because they don't have the votes. But they're going through procedural maneuvers to avoid even a vote.